I invite you to listen to the opening words of Elizabeth Strong. Out of the earth rises light, rises life, rises spring. May we join the miracle that is springtime and enter in life with lightness and joy. Out of the Spirit rises faith, rises hope, rises love. May we join with the miracle that is Easter time and enter into life with hope and love. Let us rise with spring. Let us rise with the Spirit and enter into renewed life as we gather into our time of worship together on this wonderful Easter morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join our song leaders in singing number 61 in your gray hymnal, Lo, the Earth Awakens Again. Well, that was a rousing way to start our Easter morning. Good morning. I am Donna Zimmerman, and along with Claudia Marshall, we are your worship leaders this morning. We are happy you have joined us on this Easter Sunday. However, Easter isn't the only special event that occurs for many of the world's people at this time of year. Our Muslim brothers and sisters just observed Ramadan, which is a month-long time of fasting, prayer, and reflection. The Jewish people celebrated the 8 days of Passover, which ended today, and it remembers their ancestors' freedom from being kept in slavery in ancient Egypt. They wandered for a long time in the desert with little to eat until they found what they called the Promised Land, what we know today as Israel. Spring arrived on March 20th, and Earth Day will be celebrated this coming Tuesday. The first reminds us that after the dormancy and darkness of winter, life returns. The grass becomes green. The trees grow new leaves and flowers bloom. And Earth Day reminds us to protect and support our environment and all the beauty of the earth. So we certainly have much to celebrate at this time of year. And coincidentally, much of it seems to be surrounded by wonderful foods and goodies and all kinds of things we can eat and enjoy. I welcome you one and all to our UU community. Here, there is a place for you. Whatever gender, race, sexual orientation, age, ability, educational level, financial status, or whatever other artificial labels some attach to try and keep us separated, through all your time with us, may you experience love. Our spiritual theme here for the month of April is joy. The elements of our services throughout the month will have us look at joy and why that's so important to maintaining a balance in our lives that can be stressful for so many reasons. Our backgrounds are different. Our spiritual paths are different. However, what unites us is our desire to search for truth, growth, justice, love, and service. That is embodied in the values of our denomination listed on the back of your order of service. No matter how different we are, that's where our commonality is. If this is your first time or you are a returning guest, I invite you to stop at the table at the entranceway and get some information about our church and our denomination, and get a name tag so that we can start to get to know you by your name. After the service, instead of our usual wonderful assortment of refreshments, we will have a full-blown potluck Easter dinner. Didn't I say this was a time of celebrating with food? And you are all invited. After the service, Jennifer Bacmeister will be the drill sergeant. I mean the person giving instructions on how to have a smooth transition from church to food. Now, if you will please ensure that your phones and other electronics are turned off, we will enter into this very special Easter Sunday service together. The UU denomination does not have a required creed or theology that we all must believe. Rather, we have values that I mentioned earlier that guide Unitarian Universalists everywhere across the world to be our very best selves. In addition, members of this church, Buckman Bridge Unitarian Universalist Church, came together to develop our own special commitment of how we will be in relationship with one another. We say this agreement, this covenant, every Sunday to remind ourselves of these intentions. Please remain seated and join me in reciting the Congregational covenant, which is printed in the order of service you were given when you came in. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. The symbol of our faith is a chalice with a flame in it. Each Sunday around the world in our churches, a flame is lit. A member of our congregation lights our chalice as we hear the words that remind us of why this is important to us. As Robert Clark comes forward to light the chalice, please hear the words of Elizabeth Strong. We light our chalice to remember the sorrow, the loss, and the joy that are within this season of the year. The Passover that brought freedom from slavery and bondage for the Jewish people continues to light the world. Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter that brought joy and triumph of life over death to the Christian people still brings the light of joy into the world. The spring equinox brings forth new life bursting on the land each year, brings lengthened days of sunlight to all life. Passover for freedom, Easter for life, spring for rebirth. We light our chalice for all three. Thank you, Robert. Now I ask you to please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our call to worship, and the words are printed in your order of service. Beth Curtis is our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and she will take us through the next portion of this very special Easter service today. Beth?
Good morning. I have a little cold, and I'm trying not to spread it, so I'm wearing a mask when I'm not talking to you up here. Sorry. I want to report that a critter was seen this morning on the church grounds, and it might affect what we're doing today. It's a little on the large side, but don't be alarmed. It's quite harmless. It's a member of the Leporidae family, either the Lagomorpha or the Pica variety, I'm not sure. And it's bearing an extremely large basket of eggs. Yes, the Easter Bunny has once again returned to BBUUC, and directly after the service, all of the kids are invited to go back to the Forest Church Room and await instructions for our annual egg hunt. And of course, parents are invited to come in the back as well. I saw the Easter Bunny myself, and they're looking great. This is amazing because the Easter Bunny goes way back, so far back that they're actually older than Easter itself. Long before the time of Jesus, some people in Europe celebrated a spring festival honoring a goddess named Eostre, that's spelled E-O-S-T-R-E. There's different spellings for it, depending upon who you ask. We also know her as Ostara. She was the goddess of spring and fertility, and now fertility meant helping life grow. Crops in the field, healthy and baby animals on the farm, babies in families. And guess which animal the goddess loved the most? Oh my gosh, someone knows the answer. She loved all animals, but especially the rabbit. Why? Well, a big reason is because rabbits are really good at multiplying. And I don't mean math. I mean making baby rabbits. Let's just say they're springtime overachievers. So the rabbit became the symbol of Eostre, of life, birth, growth, and abundance. The rabbit is also a poster child, or should I say poster animal, for Easter. Well, how did that happen? A few hundred years after Jesus lived, the Christian missionaries started traveling to new lands, trying to spread their religion. They realized that people really loved their spring festival of Yostra. So they said, hey, you don't have to stop celebrating. You can keep your joyful springtime traditions. Just now, let's focus on celebrating the resurrection or rebirth of Jesus. They were very similar in actuality. Both were about starting anew, similar to springtime itself. So over time, two holidays slowly merged. People celebrated the return of life to the earth and the story of spiritual rebirth from the Christian tradition. The name Yostra with an R-E eventually became Easter with an E-R. And by, as Jesus and Christianity became more and more accepted, the goddess was gradually forgotten. But the rabbit and the name, Easter, stayed. And then, in Germany, about 600 years ago, the story of Osterhaus appeared. I'm sure I said that wrong, but a magical hare who would leave good children a nest of colorful Easter eggs at Easter. Yes, basically an egg-delivering rabbit with a behavior-based reward system. When German and Dutch immigrants came to America, they brought the Easter bunny tradition along with them. And like most things in America, the bunny got commercialized and had to learn a whole new skill, how to manufacture and deliver chocolate eggs. But rabbits don't just pop up in springtime festivals and chocolate commercials. They show up in all types of sacred stories around the world. In Native American traditions, rabbit is a trickster, a clever, mischievous transformer who can change the world. There is one story where rabbit steals fire from the gods and brings it to the people. In Mayan legend, the rabbit is often associated with the moon goddess and other lunar deities in Mayan art, as you can see up here. Here we also see an image of an ancient vase of the rabbit as a scribe. And legend has it that the rabbit helped man create the written word. Celebrated in several cultures, including the Buddhist tradition, some people see a rabbit on the moon. In one legend, a rabbit jumps into a fire to offer himself as food to a hungry stranger, who turns out to be a god in disguise. The god, deeply moved, honors Rabbit forever by placing him on the moon. So yes, while some people see a man on the moon, others see a celestial bunny. Excuse me. This is why we keep them under there. Sorry about that. So we've got German hares, native tricksters, Mayan scribes, Buddhist moon bunnies, ancient goddesses, and Christian resurrection stories, all bouncing around in this strange, beautiful basket we call Easter. Honestly, that kind of spiritual mashup sounds pretty Unitarian Universalist to me. And speaking of UU Bunnies, did you know that Beatrix Potter, the author and illustrator of Peter Rabbit, was a Unitarian? She was also a conservationist, a scientist, and a defender of nature. She donated over 4,000 acres of farmland and wildland to protect the English countryside. So, in addition to charming us with the stories of her mischievous rabbits, she helped preserve the earth they hop around on. And that's where Earth Day comes in. We will be celebrating Earth Day, one of the year's most sacred days in my book, this Tuesday, April 22nd. Easter and Earth Days are both about renewal, not just of one life, but of all life. They invite us to pay attention to what's blooming, what's being born, what's coming back to life after rest or hardship. And they ask us to take care of our planet so the rabbits and the robins and the rivers and the children have a future. And I will finish up with this thought. You know, maybe the Easter Bunny isn't here just to hide eggs. Maybe they're also reminding us to celebrate the return of life, to laugh a little, to share generously, and to protect the world that gives us daffodils, carrots, and chocolate in the first place. Thank you. Gary Smart is not only an amazing pianist, which he is also a gifted composer and has written some of our favorite hymns that we sing on special occasions. I invite you all to stand in body or spirit to sing "We Belong to the Earth," our traditional Earth Day hymn written by our own Gary Smart, the music of which can be found in your order of service. I'd like to put that in regular rotation. That's a beautiful song, Gary. Each spring, we celebrate the return of life by sharing colorful eggs, symbols of hope, beauty, and the earth's renewal. And now it is time to bring our Easter egg tree to life by hanging our bright, colorful, truly, sometimes artistically created legacy eggs on its branches. Just like spring itself, the tree reminds us that joy and beauty return year after year. I invite the kiddos in the congregation to come forward and take turns to each hang, let's say, 2 eggs on the tree. If your child needs a little bit of help, please feel free to come up and join them. While our kiddos are hanging their eggs, I invite the rest of our congregation to participate in our responsive reading, Celebrating Miracles, the words of which are printed in your order of service. Oops, there goes the first egg. Okay, ready for our responsive reading, or should we watch them? I don't know which would be better. Let us celebrate the miracle of earth. We need an egg the color of soil, the color of earthworms oozing through the dirt, and very busy ants and seeds ready for life. We are thankful for the miracle of earth. Let us celebrate the miracle of love. We need an egg the color of hugs, the color of peace, not the color of war, and helping to build a better world. We are thankful for the miracle of love. Let us celebrate the miracle of spring. We need an egg the color of life returning, the color of crocus and pussy willow, and a robin we discover in the yard. We are thankful for the miracle of spring. Let us celebrate the miracle of being born. We need an egg the color of babies, the color of strong arms that carry the children, and knowing that each child is our hope for tomorrow. We are thankful for the miracle of being born. Let us celebrate the miracle of our chalice light. We need an egg the color of freedom, the color of friendship, the color of searching, and the wonder of this life that brings us together. We are thankful for the miracle of our chalice light, mindful of the miracles that surround us all the days of our lives. I now invite Claudia Marshall to come forward.
Morning again. It's time for our offering. You are a generous people. As we approach the time for our offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. At this time, our offertory ushers, Erin McGreedy and Judy Holmes, will come forward to collect the plates for our offering. Whether you use the QR code in your order of service, or go to our website, or put money in the envelopes, we encourage our members to touch the plate to enhance our community spirit. The wonder of reviving life. Who can resolve for us the mysteries of earth, the wonders of reviving life in the spring? Not all the stars in the sky are as wonderful as the bursting seed, or the tiny green shoot, or the first brave flower defying the storm. The birds returned, and in the dawn they formed cathedral choirs, rejoicing in the light. The scampering squirrel take up the refrain, the spring is here. The trees sing in the wind, and the little streams swell into leaping, laughing torrents. The dead leaves nestling on the earth whisper a glorious secret to the wind. The earth is stirring with new life. When yesterday the drifting snow covered gray leaves, impetuous green today thrust upward toward the light. All nature sings, for light is life, and warmth and rain are life. This is the truth that passes understanding. This is the joy to all forever free. Life springs from death and shatters every, and winter yields to spring eternally.
Good morning. My name is Mary Magdalene. You may have heard of me. I lived a long, long time ago, about 2,000 years ago, in fact. This is my retro outfit. Way back then, I was one of Yeshua's closest friends, and I think you don't call him Yeshua anymore. I think you call him Jesus these days. I followed Jesus, I learned from him, and stood by him, even when it was dangerous. In addition to Jesus' birthday, what you all call Christmas, people all over the world also remember the time around his death. That's what we do at Easter. We think about his death, what came after, and what it all might mean. We reflect on his life and the lessons he taught us. I was there when Jesus died, and I'd like to tell you about how I remember it. But I'm also not in The Handmaid's Tale, so we're going to lighten that up. I met Jesus when I was a young woman. He was a great teacher. He helped to heal people. In fact, he touched sick people that nobody else would touch. He fed the hungry. In fact, he ate, like sat down and ate with people that the laws of our time said he shouldn't eat with, like non-Jews and tax collectors, who everyone hated. And I think that's still true, right? The tax collector part, not the non-Jew part. And us women, he treated us like equals. That just didn't happen back then. That's why we women stuck with him when the Romans took him and when the men were too afraid. Jesus was a great prophet. That means he could see how bad things were and how we could make them better. And then he told us what he saw. He saw that we could build a kingdom of the Spirit inside ourselves and also between us. When he said kingdom of the Spirit, he meant a world where people care for each other, share what they have, and treat everyone with kindness and fairness. He said we could build a strong community like this one you have here. I've seen it. And that was too strong for even the Romans to break. Throughout my life, the Romans ruled our land. They didn't like hearing what Jesus or any of us, his followers, had to say. Jesus' message of love and community scared the Romans, and that made them angry, and they did a bad thing. They made sure Jesus died in a way that was meant to scare us and stop us from spreading his message. Those were bad times when I was a young woman. People in power could do those sorts of things, even to good people. Back then, a lot of good people were hurt or even killed for standing up for what was right. We called them saints. We believed their spirits went to a special place, like a beautiful paradise that was not far from our world. Some of us believed they could even visit us sometimes, not in a spooky way like ghosts, but in a peaceful, kind way, like angels. It felt like they were still with us, watching over us, and that helped us feel less alone. And that was true for Jesus, too. We felt that he visited us, sat with us, that we heard his voice, and we saw his face again. It helped to remember him in that way. It gave us courage to keep building that kingdom of love inside us and between us, no matter what the Romans did to try to scare us out of it. And back then, lots of people hoped for saviors, which are special people who could help bring peace and show us all how to live better lives. Some stories said those saviors could come back to life. Now, we all thought of Jesus as a savior, so over time, some people told Jesus' story that way, too, to help others understand how important he was to us. And that's how the Easter story started. Have you heard the story? Probably. Like most stories, people tell it in different ways. But I'm in all the Easter stories in the Bible. So if anyone can tell you, I, Mary Magdalene, can. Well, he died on a Friday during Passover. Some of the men took his body down from the cross where he died, and they put it in a tomb before sunset. Then they placed this huge stone over the entrance of the tomb to keep his body safe. The Sabbath starts at sundown on Friday, and that's a special day of rest that we Jews celebrate every week. Jesus, I, and most of our friends, remember, we were all Jewish, of course. Our laws said we couldn't touch a dead body on the Sabbath, on our day of rest, which was Saturday, the day after Jesus died. So his body had to stay in the tomb with the big rock in front of it for a whole day and 2 nights. Sabbath is also meant to be a joyful day, even when we're sad. And because it was also Passover, which is a big holiday, we tried to be cheerful. But inside, our hearts were breaking. Since his body hadn't been properly prepared for burial, early the next morning, which was a Sunday, some of us women went to the tomb to do that. We didn't have morticians or undertakers in those days. The custom was that the women among the dead person's friends and family prepared the bodies of the dead for burial, and we were very honored to do so. We said special prayers that blessed the bodies of those that we loved. Anyway, as the story goes, we women were walking through the garden, talking with one another, and wondering who would roll that big, heavy stone away from the door of the tomb. None of us by ourselves were strong enough to do it, and even together, we weren't sure it would even work. When we arrived, the story says, we were amazed to find the stone already rolled away. The story says we found an angel, and some of the stories say there were 2 angels, who told us that Jesus had been raised from the dead and that we would see him again in Galilee. That was a town just to the north of where we were. Astonished. We were astonished to hear this news. One version of the story says that we were so afraid and amazed that we told no one. Okay, now I ask you, how would anyone know that story if we hadn't told anyone? Honestly, sometimes. And us afraid? We stood amongst the Roman soldiers as the rabbi, that's Jesus, died. How could an angel scare us? Other stories say that we did tell people that Jesus appeared to us in order to give us hope, to tell us not to fear, and to be glad and not give up on his kingdom of spirit inside and between us. To me, the real miracle of Easter is that we didn't give up on that kingdom. We kept right on building it inside and between us. The real miracle of Easter is that we didn't give up, period. We kept sharing love, kindness, and courage, just like Jesus taught us. As scared and sad as we were, the Romans couldn't scare it out of us. They couldn't stop us from telling everyone we could about Jesus and all the lessons about love that he taught us. That's the real miracle. And you might ask me, did that other miracle really happen? Did Jesus rise from the dead and live again? Well, I'm a wise old woman now, and I'll tell you what I've learned in all these years. Whenever anyone you really love dies, that person lives on in memory. He often rises in memory. That person lives in your heart and in how you live your life. And as long as you remember and love that person never actually dies. And that's how it was for all of us who love Jesus. For us, he lives in our love for him, our memory of him, and in us trying to follow his example. He lives in the stories about him we told again and again to more and more people. And eventually, people wrote down those stories, because back when I was a young girl, we didn't write anything down. We just told everyone. We didn't have paper. What are you talking about? Eventually, people wrote down this story so other people could know them and remember them and love him too, long after my friends and I had died. Now, people, since then, some of them have done some really bad things in the name of Jesus, and that makes me mad. Some things they did were just the opposite of what he said to do. People disrespect Jesus when they hate or hurt other people in his name. He said to love people, to bless even our enemies, and not to judge anyone, because it's kind of his dad's job. So whenever someone does something good in his memory, like feed a poor person or visit a sick person or comfort someone who is sad or stands up for fairness or love, Jesus lives in that person. Whenever a person inspired by his story helps people, heals them, gives them hope and courage, or shows us how to make the world a better place, his true message lives on. He's not truly dead so long as you remember who he truly was, what he did, and how he loved everyone, no matter what. That's what I believe. Some people might not agree, and that's okay. I wonder, though, what do you think?
It's time for our closing hymn. Our singers are coming forward, and we're going to sing hymn 270. Let's see. Our Easter benediction from Robert Clark will come back forward. Blessed be life, moment by moment through 1,000 ages. Blessed be the life that ends in every moment. Blessed be the life that rises again to blossom in every moment. Blessed be life that remembers life. Blessed be life that refuses to die before death. Blessed be life that pours itself out onto the mystery of the soul. Blessed be life that becomes love as the seed becomes the rose. Blessed be life that lives its own. Amen. Mark Bellatini. Thank you for attending our service today. Be good.